So anybody that knows me in the slightest knows that horror is kind of my thing. Beyond just horror, specifically 80s horror and creature features are my thing. There are many movies that sum this up, most specifically David Cronenberg's The Fly or John Carpenter's The Thing, but Andrzej Żuławski's English language French film based in Germany, Possession from 1981, encompasses these things just as much, if not more. See, because this film isn't just a creature feature, as are many of the best body horrors, this film is an allegory, specifically an allegory for divorce, which was extremely personal to Żuławski because he himself became a divorcee not too soon before making this film. The defined edges of a genre are completely made void here. People are constantly trying to box it into a particular place like psychological drama, body horror, and even romance, but this film liquidates the idea of genre, and it swiftly moves in and out of them without even a pinch of uncertainty. It's confident as it switches from tone to tone, from emotion to emotion, and every single beat it hits, it plays perfectly in rhythm with itself as a metaphor. Like when the film starts, Mark is coming back from a job. He's a spy, and none of that is all too explored because it's quite frankly not that important. What is important is that he's been away. He meets up with his wife Anna as he's left to carry all of the bags into their home, and she walks very freely in front of him. Though subtle, and honestly maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it strikes me immediately that he's clearly putting in more effort here. He's quite literally carrying all the baggage whilst she seems to be walking away without any of it, clearly a few steps ahead of his journey. Small symbolism like that is what contributes to this film's powerful design because it's brimming with insane imagery and metaphors within the metaphor. Anna tells him that she wants a divorce, and well, this is where the film truly starts. They consistently bump heads. Mark is convinced of there being another man, and Anna is insistent there isn't. They get into a few domestic disputes which are honestly so painfully realistic that the difficult nature of this film's watching experience starts entirely too early. At the current, it's just simply a family drama of a wife trying to divorce her husband. They find out there's another man, and it's fairly simple family drama kind of stuff. But that's where the film tricks you, because this isn't just typical family drama. Everyone is acting especially unnatural, Anna specifically. Now of course this is being looked at through a biased lens, the director sort of focusing his viewpoint through Mark and making Anna quite clearly the strange one. Not only is she unfaithful, but she's psychotic. There's a moment where both characters attack themselves with an electric knife and neither of them seem to feel the pain of it. Almost as if to say the emotional distress and burden outweighs the physical torture. Andrzej isn't trying to depict a realistic divorce, he's trying to depict it exactly how it feels. These characters are the physical embodiment of their emotional status. Mark is angry and confused but trying to be reasonable. Anna is constantly disgusted, breaking down, and vacant. We see the impact of these things on their child, Bob, who seems to be absolutely fine. He's deaf to their arguments, blind to his mother's neglect, but as we later get a quote from another character, Helen, she says that he knows everything, senses everything. Children are amazing. Which is true. Parents going through problems often feel like they hide it well and that their child simply exists in their own bubble, but they often do sense what's wrong. They may not be socially and logically intelligent yet, but they are emotionally aware. But let's talk about Helen for a second, and by extension Heinrich. So Mark meets Bob's schoolteacher Helen, who is identical to Anna in every single way barring her set of beautiful green eyes. We at the time have no idea what to make of this, but I think her and Heinrich serve an equal purpose. Because Heinrich is the guy Anna leaves Mark for, and he is in every way nothing like Mark. He's cultured, free, older, apparently can fight, and they seem to have much better sexual chemistry. Whereas, as we said, Helen is identical to Anna in all her ways but one. The only real disparity is their behavior. Helen seems to behave in the way that Anna used to behave. And I think this is simply indicating what both people in this divorce want. Mark ultimately wants Anna. She was already enough for him. She was perfect for him, exactly how she was. Whereas Anna wanted the complete opposite of Mark, hence the reason behind the divorce. But after Mike hires a private investigator to find where Anna spends all of her time, he tracks her to an apartment located right on the Berlin Wall, which itself is a metaphor for a unit divided. In this apartment, he finds Anna and, well, this fucking thing. Now this is where the film truly takes its first turn from a surrealist family and psychological drama to a grotesque, almost avant-garde art house body horror. We don't know what this fucking thing is or where it came from or what its purpose is to Anna, but she kills the PI over him seeing it. Then she goes on to kill the secondary PI, who is implied to be in a gay relationship with the former, because he finds the body of the first PI in the apartment along with the creature, who has since moved to the bed and in shock attempts to kill Anna, and then, yeah, she kills him. Then Heinrich goes to the apartment himself as she flaunts the dismembered body parts in her refrigerator and confesses that her and the goop monster make love. She attempts to kill Heinrich and he escapes. He attempts to tell Mark and then Mark kills Heinrich, and there's just a whole lot of killing suddenly, and this is where things get so much more blurred because it's impossible to decipher what any of it really means. Mark even walks in on Anna making love with the creature at one point, and these are the points where the film truly gets its disturbed notoriety from. Now, there are just so many ways to read this and interpret it, but this is how I see it currently. So, I struggled a lot to figure out where the creature came from. We see a fantastic scene of Anna breaking down in a subway, but this is clearly a miscarriage scene and not a birthing scene. But the sequence could quite easily be the inception of this creature as a response to the miscarriage. And I'm understanding that it's a manifestation of Anna's desires, hence the sexual nature of their current relationship, but it's also a representation of their toxic marriage. I'm believing that the creature just materialized as an independent creation, a spontaneous genesis, but the most interesting part of the entire deal is that in the end it's revealed to Mark that the creature has finished its transformation and its final form is identical to him, because in the end Anna didn't want Heinrich, she just wanted the perfect husband out of Mark who is sexually satisfying whilst never leaving her side, a perfectly mannered and neat man. In the end, both of them die and are essentially replaced with their ideal versions of themselves, but these ideal versions are left in charge of Bob, who clearly is not happy about this situation and ends up drowning himself, and this can be interpreted a million ways also. The entire film can just be viewed through the lens of a Cold War era Berlin, and even a metaphor for the Iron Curtain, and there is just layers upon layers to invest in and lose yourself in. It's impossible to unravel, and for that I think it's a near perfect film. I think Zawofsky in part is attempting to make commentary on how idealistic versions of ourselves are simply incompatible replacements. We need our faults, but we also need to work on them. Humans are in a constant state of self-improvement, and that is when we are at our best, not really at our improved state. But I don't know, it's complicated. I mean, even the title is enormously vague. It could be pointing to how divorce and emotional distress essentially possesses a person. How sexual desire can possess someone to stray, how possessive spouses can be. I interpret this film a million ways at once, conflicting and contradicting each other. It's just a stream of consciousness that bends genre and twists metaphors and allegorical storytelling till there is simply nothing straightforward to take away from it. This film is pretty famous for its disgusting nature and controversial imagery, but being honest, the most uncomfortable this film makes me is when Anna and Mark are simply conversing. The performances are so unhinged and powerful that the unease is there long before any kind of creature even appears. But what do you guys think? Have you seen Possession? If so, let me know how you interpret it and let me know what you think of this video. I read every single comment and reply to as many as possible. So whether it's this grotesquely poetic film or not, as always, keep watching movies.